Thank you for visiting West Coast Auto Enthusiast. Today we're featuring a 1971 Toyota FJ40 LandCruiser. There's a lot to talk about here. I'll see if I can get to the details. We've got all that in print. One of my main focuses is with the video is just going to be show you the condition of the rig, because there's literally no rust on it. There's a couple spots that I'll point out, but it's got a Chevy V8 in it. It's got headers on it. It's got a turbo 400 automatic 3-speed transmission. It's got power steering. It's got disc brakes in the front and the back. It's really clean. I mean, this is clearly a rig that was set up to crawl. You've got a Warn winch here in the front. We've got the remote for that. It also is hardwired into the dash, so you've got a toggle switch that will allow you to operate it from the interior of the cab also. You can see here in the front, you've got disc brakes in the front on both sides. You've also got a heavily modified suspension. There's no leaks on this currently. We just went through and did a bunch of work. We put a brand new transfer case in it from a completely rebuilt FJ40, and you can see, so like where you would typically find rust on these, there's no rust. Headers, dual exhaust, the frame is in really good shape. We put brand new 35s on it. Those are BF Goodrich 35 12.5 17s. So you can see by the body, one of the reasons I bought this was because of the lack of rust. So typically you'd see rust, well, in a lot of places. I mean, on this old of a rig, there's just rust everywhere typically. So again, heavily modified suspension. In the back here, you've got an expandable shackle for articulation. You've also got a winch that's in the back here that operates from a remote. But you can see, again, there's no rust. It's in really good shape. So back here, you've got a Smittybilt. It's an RC. I don't know what model it is, but you can see underneath here where the winch is mounted, and then there's a so you can see again disc brakes in the back, heavily modified transmission and suspension unit, and really clean. So this is one of the spots where there's rust. You can see right here on the, and that's about it. And there's one other spot that I'll point out later. So this has got a soft top on it, which I just took off just so I could drive it. Here's your remote control in the interior of the cab for the rear winch right there. And these are, we've got 3 remotes for it. So I actually bought one because we couldn't find the one that came with it. And then as you can see in the back here, no rust. So no rust underneath the seats. I mean, it's really clean. The seats are in good shape. Same with here. No rust. Can you see that? Let me get the flashlight on that so you can see. I mean, it's in really good shape. The floor's been rhino lined. The rear blower works. It's got custom seats in it. So, anyways, and the top goes on and off easily. So that's not an issue. So as I mentioned, new tires and wheels, and then again, areas where you typically find rust and a lot of rot, nothing exists. Again, expandable shackles for articulation. I mean, it's a sweet rig. There you go as far as the body. So again, no rust on any of these panels. Very clean. The original color of this was red, so there is, you can see red in some of the areas where there's been paint, but again, there you go, there's a red spot. But as far as rust goes and the lack of rust, it's impressive. It just doesn't exist. So I think I can probably just quickly show you the engine. So there you go, the hood, again, been repainted. The engine compartment's been completely redone and lined, and no rust. All the body panels are in good shape. The firewall, all that stuff. So windshield, the wipers work. We were waiting on a turn signal switch, so one side is burned out, but we're going to replace that, so that'll be fully operational. You can see on the door panels here, those are in good shape with the windows. So custom seats that are in great shape. A little more stylized for off-roading. And then the floorboards. So they've installed a heavy-duty full roll cage here, which they've mounted rear speakers to and a CB. So there's your, it's a Hurst. You've got a 3-speed. There's your transfer case, and then your 4-wheel drive is here. It works on a vacuum system. I'm going to hop in here and start it and walk you through some of the things. So you can see, again, everything is in very good shape. So you've got a JVC sound system with a CD player and an MP3 and a USB. One of the things that's impressive is how easily this thing turns over and starts. If you're familiar with LandCruisers, but that is certainly not the case typically. They're really not cold-blooded, and they hate being driven in the cold. So you turn that over. So that's quick. Okay, so lights, gauges, gas tank works. Oops, excuse me. Water temperature works. Oil pressure works. The tachometer does not work. The speedometer does, and oil temp does. So as I mentioned, this is your 4-wheel drive. This is an auxiliary switch for a tank. You've got an aftermarket fan, cooling fan, but we put a thermostat in so you could turn it off, but it will come on automatically through temperature now. This is your toggle switch for a winch, for the front winch to for in and out. Wipers, as I mentioned, they work. That's surprising. They hardly ever work. And then both fans. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but fan and heater. So there's your transfer case instructions. And as I mentioned, which is new, you can hear that's, I mean, it sounds great. I just put a bunch of fuel in it. We just put premium in it, which is non-ethanol, and I put a fuel system cleaner in there just to get it tuned up. Other than that, I think that's it. It's a clean title. Of course, you can't run a Carfax on it because it's too old. You can't run a Carfax on anything prior to '82. But I mean, all the body work and then that stuff speaks for itself. If you've got questions or would like additional information, please feel free to contact us, and we can be reached at 503-227-2354. Thank you for visiting West Coast Auto Enthusiast.